One night, a young woman named Ava entered a long-forgotten town, her heart racing with every step she took. The town had been abandoned for years, but something about it felt different. The headlights of her car barely illuminated the silhouettes of old stone buildings as she moved forward, but with every step it felt like someone was following her. The echoes of her own footsteps made her pause, and then she heard it, a rustling sound. Ava turned quickly, but saw nothing. In the center of the town stood a massive stone building. Broken windows reflected the faint moonlight, and the structure seemed like a ghost from the past. It was a place Ava had no desire to enter, yet something compelled her to move closer. The building's door was slightly ajar, as though inviting her in. She hesitated for a moment, then decided that maybe, just maybe, the answers she sought lay within. Inside, the air smelled of decay, and the silence was deafening. As she explored the dusty interior, she noticed an old journal half buried in the rubble. When she opened it, the pages were filled with strange, indecipherable writing. Some pages were smudged, as if erased by time itself, but one page stood out. A name was scrawled in bold ink, Ava. Her pulse quickened. How could her name be in a journal from so long ago? Ava's breath caught in her throat. She quickly closed the journal, but just as she did, something strange caught her eye. A flicker on an old television in the corner. The screen was initially dark, but soon words began to appear. You shouldn't have come. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the door, and Ava spun around, her heart pounding. The door slammed shut, locking her inside. Panic surged through her. She looked around for another exit, but there was none. Only one way out, a narrow staircase leading down into the darkness below. With little choice, she descended into the depths, where the air grew colder, the walls tighter. At the bottom, the faintest light glimmered in the distance. She followed it, the sense of dread growing with every step. As she entered the dimly lit room, she found it empty, except for a strange symbol drawn on the floor. Ava bent down and realized it wasn't just a symbol, it was a map. A map leading to a road outside the town, one that had been long forgotten. Her mind raced. What road could this be? A road no one had used in years, and yet something about it felt eerily familiar. Ava stood frozen for a moment, then followed the map's direction. The eerie silence of the town surrounded her as she walked, but suddenly behind her she heard footsteps, slow and deliberate. She turned quickly, but there was no one there. Only the wind brushing against her skin. The map led her to the edge of the town, where a thick, dark forest began. The trees were unnervingly still. Ava's feet hesitated, but her curiosity pushed her forward, deeper into the woods. With every step, the forest grew darker, colder. Then, a voice broke the silence. You shouldn't have come. Ava froze. She felt the presence of something or someone following her. Her heart raced, but she couldn't move. It was as though the air around her was thickening, pulling her into the forest. The voice came again, clearer this time. I've been waiting for you. In a panic, Ava turned and ran, but the path ahead seemed to stretch on forever. The forest closed in, and soon the only sound was her breath, ragged and quick. Then, behind her, she heard a figure approaching. Her mind raced as she tried to escape. The figure was getting closer, its footsteps louder, but no matter how fast she ran, the distance never seemed to grow. Then Ava stopped. The figure was right behind her. She turned around slowly, and there in the shadows stood a woman. The woman was her own reflection, but somehow distorted, twisted with a malevolent smile. Ava's heart skipped a beat. She backed away, but no matter how far she stepped, the woman followed. You're too late, the figure whispered. Ava stumbled back, the ground beneath her feet crumbling. She gasped, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on her. It's too late, the figure repeated. Suddenly the forest, the town, the world around her dissolved. Everything went black. Ava was left alone in the silence, but the memory of the figure, her figure, lingered.